Want to welcome everyone today. Mary Wu she is the expert on LinkedIn. If you have ever done anything on LinkedIn, and you have any questions, she is the lady, so you're in the right place. Today, she's going to talk about your profile and how to tighten it up. So I know I hired her when I had my business, and it was like, whoa, it was so eye-opening as to what's possible and what I had not done. So listen in. Um, this is sponsored by SCORE. And do any of you have a mentor, a SCORE mentor? You'd raise your hand. Okay, we have one person that has a mentor. I, 2, 3, excellent. If you do not have one and you're thinking of starting a business, then I strongly recommend that you go to our website, which is score.org/Nashville, and request a mentor. Totally free. And they're there from you're thinking about a business till you're ready to dissolve the business somewhere 30 years down the road. You can always have a mentor. We also offer classes. The 15th, which is a Tuesday, we have SCORE Connect Live, which is a live networking event at Belmont University. We will have mentors there. We will have subject matter experts there to be able to answer your questions. You're going to be able to interact with your peers, other people starting their business or people that have a business going. It's a fabulous event, and we bribe you with food and drink. So please come. It's free. It's free. So come on over. So in the meantime, thank you for being here. And this is Mary Wu.
Unmute my there. Now I am unmuted. Hi, I am Mary Wu, and I am a LinkedIn trainer and consultant and speaker. I love to help people find. The thing I most love to hear in the world is, I didn't know you could do that. So that's always my goal. So when I tell you something and you go, I didn't know you could do that, pop it in the chat because I would love to see it. In the chat right now, maybe I'm going to paste in a link to a Google Doc that I've created that follows the outline for this presentation. I know some people um, read and follow along. Also, this will come in handy when this will get set up on the Scores YouTube channel, and then you'll have the notes there. And if I remember, I might put it in the comments of the YouTube thing, but that's a couple of days from now. Life gets distracting. I'm going to tell you why you should be on LinkedIn a little bit. I'm going to tell you why you should be talking to me. And then I'm going to go over a lot of the parts of the profile and kind of emphasize which ones are the most important, or at least the ones that I think are the most important, I'm pretty knowledgeable. Before we start, one thing I want you to remember to do, you can ask questions by popping them in the chat. Oh, you had to ask for access to that. Okay, thanks. I'll reset that in just a second. Give me a second. There we go. Oh, okay. Now anyone with the link should be able to access the document. Okay, that should work now. Before we start, like, put in there, somebody said they had to ask for access on the doc. I was able to fix it. So pop things in the chat. I'll kind of glance at that. And Michelle's here to also on the score and to keep an eye on that. Is anybody else getting an echo? Okay, nobody else is getting an echo. That's good. I'd said one person is, but I'm glad everybody isn't. So pop notes in the Q&A if you have any, or notes in the chat. If you have any questions as I'm going along, because I want to make sure that I address what your needs are. Still requesting access. I'll try to resend the link. Give me a second. There we go. There, okay. All right. Link is being reset. So hopefully that works this time. If anybody can get it, pop it in the notes that if you can do that. Oh, thank you. So first I'm going to tell you why you should be on LinkedIn. And there are a billion people on LinkedIn. They passed that last year. When people are on LinkedIn, their mindset is on their business mode. When people are on TikTok or Instagram or other places, I'm on Instagram. I live in Nashville. I'm on Instagram to find out what the musicians are doing and who's playing where this weekend. I'm on Facebook because I want to see reels of goldfish. I'm on LinkedIn because I'm doing research and wanting to know what's going on in the world. So when people are on LinkedIn, they're in a business mode. Most members on LinkedIn have college degrees. In the US, the average person earns over 100,000 a year, and they're at upper levels of management. Also, on LinkedIn, it has Google ability. Google likes websites that are very active, very engaged. LinkedIn has a lot going on. So Google looks to it when people are asking certain questions. And if you're the person on LinkedIn that is answering that question, you have a chance of showing up in those search results, especially if you're getting fresh content in there. And the other thing about LinkedIn, there are no goldfish. Most people on the planet have like a 6-second attention span when it comes to stuff. But when people are on LinkedIn, they're there to learn, they're there to engage, they're there to consume content. So you can get a little bit deeper. If you're a subject matter expert in whatever you're in, you can give more information. You still have to grab people in those first 6 seconds, but they're likely to hang around a little longer and not go down to, oh my gosh, they changed from a golden retriever video to husky video. I've got to go look at that. We don't get quite as distracted. So that's why we want to be on LinkedIn. Why you want to talk to me, if you go to my LinkedIn profile and scroll down, and I'll show you where this section is later, there's recommendations, and you can see what my clients and former clients have said about me. But the other thing, and this is in that Google Doc, there is a person named John Asperian who is a LinkedIn trainer. He trains a lot of LinkedIn trainers, and I'm on his list of LinkedIn experts, which is really important to me because it means that my colleagues appreciate you. So appreciate me. So when you get the respect of both your clients and your colleagues, that says stuff. We're going to look at the profile parts, and I'm going to bring up the screen share in a minute, but we're going to talk about a couple of safety factors. One thing is you always, on anything you're logging in on, want to use two-factor authentication. I hate when I go into my bank and every single time I have to put in my cell phone number and they send me a text. I'd hate worse if somebody hacked my bank account. The other thing is LinkedIn requires you to use your legal name and nothing else. So don't use emojis in your name. Don't put extra characters in your name. It's against the terms of service and you could lose your account. And one other safety factor to point out is LinkedIn does not allow you to share your account information with somebody else. So if you're reaching out to somebody to help you improve your profile and they're saying, just give me your login and I'll take care of everything, please don't do that. You could lose your account. They could lose their account, and I never understand why anybody would risk doing that. And if somebody's willing to take your login and password and work on your account, that means they don't know LinkedIn very well, and they're probably not the right person for you.
Mary, may I
Yes,
interrupt?
sure.
Do you have your screen up? Are you going to share
I will be
screen?
screen sharing in just about a minute or two here.
Okay, very good.
That's part of the plan. We're going to talk about score for just a second here, though. When you're starting to work on your LinkedIn profile, a couple of things you want to talk about is you want to know what your client avatar is. You want to know what your unique value proposition is. So reach out to a score mentor and have them help you figure out what your business is. There is not time in this hour to go through all of that. And now we will pop over and I will share my screen by clicking on this lovely button here. And because I'm me and I allow myself to do this, I'm going to show you the parts of my profile and it's going to get a little interesting. So when I talk in the notes, I talk about the top box, and I mean this part here where you have your your banner photo, your profile image, your name, your headline. This is what people see first. And a lot of this is not necessarily considered by LinkedIn part of what they consider your profile sections. That comes later, but this is what people see first. So this is where you want to make sure that you're jumping out so that you can get them in that first 6 seconds. There is a blank banner photo thing that LinkedIn has. It's kind of boring. You could hire a graphic designer, or you could use a service like Canva and come up with something to put there. It's not necessary to have a photo here and here. I will be probably changing that later this summer because I got some new stuff I want to put in there. Um, Having things here, if you've got your brand understood, putting things in your brand color. It's weird in that I'm going to show you two banner photos. Richard Vanderbloom is awesome. He's a kind of a brilliant keynote speaker, LinkedIn speaker. He's in around Spain somewhere. And if you look at his, there's a lot of words, there's a lot of information. The next person we're going to look at is Ashley Leeds. And I'm looking at these two people because they're very opposite. Ashley is got fewer words, it's very bold. The interesting, I will not say one is better than the other. The thing I will mark of interest in this is that most of the people that Richard works with are coming at LinkedIn from a desktop, and most of the people that Ashley works with are coming in from a phone. And when you're coming in on a mobile device, there's not as much room for all of that information. So for both of these people, what they've done works really well. Sometimes you have to dig through and got to figure out what you're trying to do so you can figure out how you can make it worth really well. But I love to show those two back to back so that you understand there's a lot of different ways you can do your banner photo. For your headshot, we like just a face looking forward, not a lot going on. Something that is very popular right now is using AI to enhance your image. We can do that in other photos we do on LinkedIn, but what I highly recommend to people when they have their headshot here, I want that to look like you look and like you look today. I want to be able to walk into a coffee shop and find you there from your LinkedIn photo. And I did that once. I was meeting a client at a coffee shop, and on the way in, I'm like, that's him because that looks like this photo. So you want that to look like you today. You don't want to wait until you lose that extra 30 pounds. You don't want to put in a photo that you had that looked fabulous when you were at a wedding 5 years ago, and you've obviously cut out the other person that was in the photo with you. You just want a plain headshot that looks like you today. Um, The about section is right there at the top, and it's one of the first things that comes up. I'm often asked if, when we're writing our about section, which turns into a bio, if you should have it be first person or third person. I understand that everybody understands that when you're on LinkedIn, you're looking at somebody's about section. So it's okay to use first person. Generally speaking, I prefer that. Some people prefer using third person, but what I don't like to see is when somebody's using first person in the about section and then third person in the experience section, or bouncing back and forth in different paragraphs. You want it to be very consistent throughout the whole profile. And that's one of the reasons that I and other people suggest reviewing your entire profile at least once a year, just to kind of make sure that you didn't go through and change something and now you've got conflicting information in different parts of the profile. Back up here in this box, we can see that Ashley has got this is the company, Full Cup Coaching, and he went to Newcastle College. So if you're just starting out getting your LinkedIn set up, I suggest doing all of the other parts of your profile first, because then when you add these, I'll go back to mine and show you how it works. If I click on this, I can pick any of my positions to show up, but we also want to have the right graphics show up next to it. I can also pick any education to show up, and I want the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign to show up, and that will also bring that image there. So that's kind of why in the notes I said, start with all the other stuff and then move on. LinkedIn, and I've put a link to that in that Google Doc, lists out all the profile sections. I know a lot of people that have amazing LinkedIn profiles, and I could not find one person that hit all of these sections that are listed. Not everybody needs all of them. But what LinkedIn did do was up at the top, put what they think are the most important sections, and that's the About section, which is where you talk about yourself. You can use writer to do this for you. You can try to use Chat GPT. It will probably not work well unless you use it on a regular basis. You're sort of talking about yourself, but you also want to tell people what value they get. So you want them to come to you because you will offer them something they can't get. Does that make sense? So you're kind of saying, this is what I can offer. I'm brilliant in this area. This is where you need my help. And you probably do. Every about section should be addressing what somebody else's pain point is. Experience shows where you've been and what you've done. And most people don't go digging into that too deep, but sometimes it's interesting, especially if you've worked someplace and somebody else has. There's a lot of things in your LinkedIn profile that tell people who your entire background. And a lot of times somebody will connect with you because you both used to work at Nissan, or you both went to the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, or whatever the things are that bring the commonalities together. And a lot of times people want to do business with folks they know, like, and trust. So they're looking for those commonalities. There is a section on LinkedIn, if you choose to use it, where you can put your services. So for me, it's business consulting, public speaking, and training. I don't have time to dig deep into all of these sections. There is also something that LinkedIn has. I don't have it in mind, but if you have had a career break, that's why I don't have it in mind. I put in stay-at-home mom before they added career break. They've added a section called career break. So if you've been missing from the workaday world for some number of years, that you could use the career break now to show what you were doing, so people don't go, did they fall off the face of the earth? What happened to them for those years? You could use that career break, and it covers things like if you were helping a family member or other things. So it doesn't look like you've got a gap. That's more valuable to people that are using LinkedIn in the job search space than people that are using it in the business space. And way down here, you can set up skills on LinkedIn. And I'm going to be really honest, when you set up skills, people don't pay as much attention to those as they do to recommendations, because everybody knows that I can endorse somebody with a skill just by clicking a button. So they don't seem to mean as much, but you can nudge which skills you're showing as having priorities. A lot of people have endorsed me for public speaking, not many for LinkedIn training, but I'd rather be known in that manner. And people have endorsed me for time management. Have they been in my office? Probably not. The section that I do like and love to see people get involved in are the recommendations, because that's where not only somebody can be talking about you and what you've done, but sometimes you might look at somebody and see that there's a recommendation that that person has received from someone you know. I think it's in here. I'm trying to find something. I hope I'm remembering correctly. Let's see. No, okay. I thought I had something I don't. We're not going to worry about it too much. But there might be people you know in here that are saying nice things about me. And then you can reach out to that. The other interesting thing, Lisa, I'm going to pick on you. So I can go to Lisa Thomas's LinkedIn and I can see that she and I have this many mutual connections. Then if I want to know about her, I can reach out to one of these people and ask them to give me information about Lisa. And most likely they're going to say nice things. There was one time I was looking for a service provider that would come into my house to do service. And he was connected with somebody else that I knew on LinkedIn. I was having coffee with her and I'm like, you know this guy. What do you think? And all she did was go, and the person did not get into my house. She said nothing bad about him, but the person did not get into my house. So kind of be careful who you are connected with and that they're actually going to say nice things about you. One profile section that does not get nearly the attention, and I'm hoping people tell me in here that this is something they didn't know about. There's a featured section on LinkedIn where you can put things like videos or graphics or links to something else. And it's very rarely used, but it's right at the top of your profile. And I love to see people put a short introduction video in here. I hope this doesn't play if I click on it. I hope it just goes to it. Yeah, mine is 2.5 minutes. It doesn't have to be long, but it's a way people can find out more about you. Because if people have now scrolled from this part of your profile and roll down here, they're interested and they want to know more about you. So that's where you start giving them more about you. And the featured section is an amazing place to do that. Okay, I just popped into the Q&A, Michelle. Should older folks really show their photo? Is a photo really necessary? The answer to that question would be yes, because we're wanting to show who we are. Now, you can do yourself up a little bit, maybe do a little bit of retouching, but you really want to look like the person that I would find at a coffee shop. One of the things that happens when people start using AI images of themselves, there's a lot of fake accounts on LinkedIn. And if I don't see an image of a person, I wonder if there is a person behind that account. So, and let's face it, I'm not the youngest person in this room. I want to work with people that will respect me because of my age and knowledge, and not people that need somebody younger or whatever. So let's show them who we are and show them that people that have been around a while know some stuff. We're kind of smart folks. We know what's going on because we've been here and done it. Now, if we keep scrolling down past experience and education, there's a section for licenses and certifications. And this is a good place if you've got certifications that fit what you're doing and you want to make sure that people are able to see that that's there. And some of them expire, some of them don't, but showing people that you are credentialed in something is a useful thing. And then there is volunteers down in what LinkedIn considers additional, but since it's right here, I'm going to put that. The volunteering you do says stuff about you. It can tell people, hey, we both volunteered for the same organization. Or it can also, it's a place where you show your values. So when you're putting things in the volunteer section, make sure it's stuff that you kind of want showing up. So if we look at my volunteer section, I'm a business mentor for a girl magazine for teen girls. I've worked with a dog rescue. I've worked with youth at a church. I did a social media assistant at a TEDx 100 years ago. I worked in an elementary school library. This tells you a lot about me. And if for whatever reason I was like, I don't want people to know what church I go to, I would remove those. I don't care. If you look at this and say, I don't want to work with somebody that's in dog rescue, call someone else. Don't call me. Because I am obviously not your person if you're going to be picking on that kind of stuff. And that's okay. Also, people do reach out to people because I see you've worked in dog rescue. Let's talk. We talked a little bit about skills and recommendations. If you've taken any courses that relate to what you're doing right now, that's a useful thing to have in there. So people know that you know your stuff. I had a thought and it went away. Another few sections that are not in here, I'm going to stop and grab. Okay. There we go. That way that makes that not an open question. Oh, another thing I wanted to tell people, I always get this question when I'm doing a presentation. It has nothing to do with the profile parts, but I always get this question. Should you have a LinkedIn premium account? If you look here on mine, you'll see that I do. And I will also be very honest and say, I got a LinkedIn premium account in either 2014 or 2015. And I am currently legacied in at the rate of $95 a year. The cheapest premium account you can get right now is $50 a month. And I have never had anybody reach out to me and ask that question where I looked at what they're doing on LinkedIn and say, yes, you've used all the free things that you can, and you should move up a bit. Most people are not using what LinkedIn gives them to the best of their benefit. So it doesn't make sense to add more on unless there are very specific needs that you have at a very specific point in time. And there are some other sections that I'm going to show you, Jillian. I have never written a book. Sorry, guys. But Jillian is a book coach that I know. And if you scroll down in her LinkedIn profile, you'll see that once we get past the recommendations, it shows us publications. And if you click on any of these, it will go right to the Amazon link for that publication. So if you've written a book, that's really great real estate for you to be able to promote your book. And like I said earlier, a lot of people do not get past this part of your LinkedIn profile. So top focus when you're first starting out is that. But if they're starting to scroll down, that means they're interested in more information. So please give it to them. Are there any questions anybody has right now that haven't yet been answered about various profile sections? Yeah, Catherine, you want to come off mute or do you want to put it in the chat?
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
What would you recommend for a W-2 earner and an entrepreneur in terms of LinkedIn and how to combine those two without confusing people?
So this all depends on your W-2 job and what your entrepreneurship is. There isn't like a one right answer for that. Some employers do not want to know that you're doing something else, and some are all on board with that. And your employer can see what you're doing, and LinkedIn does not want you to have more than one account. So you have to figure out a way to umbrella the two together. If you want to do things and don't necessarily want your employer to know, you can blame me. Tell them that Mary Wu said that you should be building brand you on LinkedIn all the time. Um, Talking about your employer is actually becoming a more popular thing on LinkedIn because employers are starting to understand that their employees can be their best promoters to the rest of the world. And if you've got a good employee employer culture, that attracts more people wanting to be employees. So you could potentially talk about your employer, but if you want, you can also kind of on the side sort of have conversations going with people in the DMs, which your employer won't see about what's going on in your business. Does
So
that make sense?
it does. Does LinkedIn have a separate page like Facebook? Like I can have my own personal profile on Facebook, but I can also have another profile.
It's attached to you, but like this is Jillian, that's her personal profile. If I click on here, that was the wrong click. Hold on. If I click here, that brings me to her company page. So that will be similar in a way to the Facebook page. The same thing if
Okay.
we go to me and view my profile, we can go over here to see my company page. There I am.
Okay, so I can do like a company. I didn't even know that. So,
Yeah, you can have a company page. See, I told you would find things that you did not know here.
okay.
Oh, why is it
Um,
letting me go there? There I go. Okay. And then you get to see this as not member. There we go.
ah,
So you can do that. And one of the things I suggest doing is having a company page, and if at all possible, also have another person attach that page. So if something happens to your LinkedIn account, another
mhm.
person can still get to your company page. LinkedIn does not allow somebody else to take activity as you on your personal profile, but you can add other admins to your company page.
So if I'm sharing my LinkedIn entrepreneurial site out to folks, is that separate from my?
It all depends on what the business is. So for me, my business name is my name. This isn't going to fool anybody that I'm not doing something.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
that kind of depends on what you're doing and what naming convention you have. Um,
Yeah, my business name is separate from my personal name.
okay.
Mhm.
And Maureen, you have a question?
Yes, I was just wondering if you could give just an overview comment on somebody, as I'm hoping pretty much everybody in this group right now, very seasoned with background and extensive education. Like, how many years would you go back when you're reflecting jobs or education without really, in my opinion, and in my situation, probably basically giving away like, oh, she might be too old for this, you know? Because I have a lifetime in healthcare and I really want to clean up my profile, but the more I go back, the more anybody with basic math skills could go, wow, she should be retiring, not pursuing another job. And I was just wondering if there's a way to just give like an overview instead of a concrete step-by-step, job by job?
A lot of that depends on what you want to do in your retirement. So, like, would your education matter to that?
Oh, see, I didn't want to retire. Maybe I said that the wrong way.
Well, or what your next step is, whatever
Right,
your next
right.
step is. So, does your education matter to your next step?
It does. It does. I just don't know how far back because I don't think anybody cares about where my first degree came from decades ago, you
And
know.
some of that is like there, it's all very individual, but there you don't have to put everything there.
Mhm.
One of my friends is a online business manager, and at one point in her life, she worked at Target. She does not have Target listed. It doesn't matter to what she's doing. Nobody needs to know that. Of course, she's like 40, so she's got most of her experience there because she's a kid. She's a kid.
Well, I know, like on just basic resumes, when that was, the in thing to say, and at some point you just go additional information upon request, And so I didn't know if like a 10-year back history was enough, then
And that depends on what you're doing,
right.
who you're doing it for, and what they need to know about you.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be able to say 10-year because for somebody else, 15-year might be more important, or 5-year might be all that they need. A lot of that, goes back to talking to your SCORE mentor about, exactly what details about your business model.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And I've already had several, oh my gosh, I didn't know that happened here. So I appreciate this very much.
There's a lot of things that happen on LinkedIn that people don't understand because they just don't dig into it. I spend time with other LinkedIn trainers. And so we get to share information between ourselves so that we can share it out to our people. Today, I have a group program, and once a month in my group program, I go through what's new on LinkedIn, and we are at over 200 changes so far in 2025. That's a lot of changes in a year. So it's really hard to know everything that's happening. And I love doing that for my people because every month I have to do my homework and I have to find out what's new. Okay, any other questions about the profile sections or about any particular profile section?
How did you get
One,
to the feature, to feature a specific activity? I'm not seeing that feature.
on
I mean, I
yours
see
or
you
on
have it,
mine?
but I don't have it at all.
That's because you've never added one.
How do you add one?
I'll show you a really good shortcut for that. Because I can easily show you that from here. So when you do posts, here's my post. Okay, we'll look at this one. I can take a post, any post I do, and up here at the ellipsis, click on that and say feature on top of profile, and that will propagate a featured section. And
Got it.
then you can add things directly in and out of the featured section.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I love to see people do an introduction video, even if you've been on LinkedIn 20 years. I did an introduction video 2 years ago, and I did a new one this year. I think it was this year. You can redo things. That's fine to do. But if you do a featured video, tag me and let me know so that I come over and say hi. And the one thing that people really do not get, and this is not necessarily covered in building a profile, but it's covered in activity. What you're commenting is incredibly important because when I comment on your post, my people will see your post, and that builds your impressions. When you comment on my post, your people see my post. That builds my impressions. It's a wonderful thing. LinkedIn likes when comments are 10 or more words and add value to the conversation. There are people, please never do this, that join engagement bots where you're required to go out and comment on however many people are in your pod. Every day you go out and comment on 30 posts. And if they're people that you have no relationship with, you don't know about their business, it's really hard to make intelligent comments. And it comes down to, oh, yay, congratulations, great idea. And it gets boring after a while when everybody's got those same comments. And I can, if I'm going and looking at anybody's profile, but I'll use me. If I go and look at activities, I can look at people's posts or videos, or even just to see what they've commented on. A lot of times I will have somebody reach out to me and say, LinkedIn isn't working for me. I'll pop into their profile. I'll look at their posts. They may have 1 or 2 a month. I'll look at their comments. They may not have any. And I'm like, you're not there. How can it work for you? The other thing that I'm just going to show you guys here real quick is linkedin.com/dashboard. Because this gives you a weekly sharing tracker. LinkedIn says this, not Mary, LinkedIn. Increase your visibility by posting, commenting, or contributing to our collaborative articles. We, that means LinkedIn, not Mary, suggest taking 3 actions every week. LinkedIn is not asking you to post 7 days a week and make 500 comments a day. LinkedIn is asking you to take a few actions a week, and that will increase your visibility. And I highly do not recommend contributing to collaborative articles. That's just LinkedIn using you to build their chatbot. It gives information to the AI that they can pull from. Does that make sense?
What do you mean collaborative articles?
They have these things called collaborative articles that you can add you can add sections of. I highly do not recommend getting involved in those because they are using this as a way to get fodder for their version of ChatGPT. They want information to be added to their chat bots that they can give out to other people. They're in a business, and that's what they want to use that for. For some people, it might make a difference. I can't think off the top of my head of any examples for that. When they first started collaborative articles, one of the things they had was like a top voice for people that responded to a lot of collaborative articles or added to a lot of them. And they've even gotten rid of that. So they don't value people doing that, even though it's still listed in the thing. We highly believe that LinkedIn is like an octopus and none of the departments talk to each other. There's just a lot going on. None of them know what the other people are doing. So dashboard is a useful thing to just kind of look at and see what's going on. And it can also tell you, whether your numbers are up or down. You may hear this, and everybody hears this, that right now, post impressions are down on LinkedIn. Everybody's saying that. But a lot of people are still getting business from LinkedIn. So it's not something that we're highly, highly worried about. The other thing LinkedIn has that they give you is an SSI score at linkedin.com/sales. That's SSI. And this is just an interesting thing to look at to see what your numbers are. Like mine have gone down. That's okay. Oh, people in my network average 43%. I'm at 66%. It's just one of those things. I like when people are first starting out on LinkedIn to look at this once every few weeks to see if your numbers are going up. I would not look at this every day. It's kind of the same thing as stepping on a scale every day. You really don't want to see it. Not every day.
Is lower better?
Higher is better on the SSI score. So mine was 66 or something, and the average for people in my area is 43. And those have gone down lately too. And then there was one time a few weeks ago, everybody was at like 50 something for everything. And then it got readjusted. LinkedIn sometimes has some glitches. We are at 12:47. If you look at your note sheet, there's an activity outline I've got in there and contact information to find me if you need to. But does anybody have any other profile questions? And I want to just do a real quick, this headline here that follows your name. I believe it might be 238 characters. I'm not sure exactly. That's a really useful thing to fill in. But if you look around at that a lot of people will have very standard titles, which aren't necessarily very expressive of exactly who you are. And the more individualized you can make it, and the more you can address the pain point for your customer, the better off you are. And you can have a little fun in it. You cannot put an emoji in your name. You can put an emoji in your headline. And always fill out your contact info if you want people to contact you. And the other thing I tell people is in their about section, if you're okay with putting your phone number in there, you can, or your email. What sometimes people do, which is what I did here, so that bots can't scrape my email address, I put in my mary.wu.va space gmail.com. And any real person will look at that and know it's an email address and be able to send me an email. And any bot is not necessarily going to put that together and slam me, because we all get way too much junk email.
Bots are
maybe
getting
not.
smarter though.
They are getting smarter. We just have to figure out, we always have to come up with new ways to outsmart them. Okay, I'm
A
not,
quick question. Oh, I'm sorry.
oh yeah, no problem.
I had a quick question about the comments. So this is not directly related to the creation of the page, but it's still related to LinkedIn. So does it have a positive, negative, or neutral impact if you have broad interest and you're making still thoughtful, meaningful comments, but with people that may not really be closely associated, like first or second degree, they may be third degree. It may be something that just came across your feed and it was just really, really compelling to you, as opposed to focusing in more on commenting to people that are closer, like first or second degree.
So there are two women on LinkedIn, Michelle B. Griffin and Michelle Raymond. They met each other through a comment section. They were both commenting on the same post about something. They went on to co-write a book and co-host a podcast, and they did not know each other before that started. And that came about a comment section. I've met clients in the comment section. I've met people I've done business with in the comment section. It is, if I'm reading content and I'm interested enough in that content to comment, then other people there also have that same value and that same interest in that content. So you're finding a like-minded individual right there. It's being handed to you. So yeah, I have a training which I show people how to create a bookmark where you can just go through and look at these 20 people's LinkedIn and comment on that. But I always like just a few times a week going through and running down exactly what LinkedIn gives me for the feed, because I may meet some new people. I might find some new creators I'm interested in. So yeah, look for the people that when it's speaking to you and you want to comment on it, go for it. I like that question. Okay, we're 12:51. Any other questions? Because Michelle's going to kick us out of here by one.
This is Catherine again. I do have one more question about the header. Do you have to have premium to be able to scroll to different parts of the header? Like you had shown an example of someone
Oh,
It's
Richard's
Richard
phone.
Vanderbloom.
Yeah, you have to have premium, but they might also have gotten rid of that capability.
Oh, okay.
But they now have the capability, if you have a newsletter, of having a scrolling header for your newsletter, which is really cool. They just came up with that last month.
Okay, thanks.
So go look at my newsletter. You'll see a scrolling header.
It does show if you go to edit your image, it says create a slideshow with premium. So it looks like it's still there.
Okay.
You
So
would
that
have
is
to
with
double
premium
check
though,
that.
right?
Because sometimes, like I said, one part of LinkedIn doesn't talk to the other part. So it may still have it, it may not still have it. And it is not worth getting premium just to get the slideshow. Because like we'll go back to Richard. There's a lot of words on his slideshow. You can't read them all as it's flipping through them. So,
Yeah.
you may not need it.
I like that concept though. That's pretty cool.
Oh, we were just going to look at that. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, raised hand, and pronounce your name when you come in. Whoever has your hand up, you can ask the question, but I can't pronounce your name. Nanye? Or do you have your hand down? I guess you have your hand down. Okay. Any other questions?
Mary, I had a question.
Okay, Lisa?
Well, I was just wondering, how do I see people that are my connections on my LinkedIn? I struggle with.
You go to my network. And then you click here and it shows all your connections. I know, it's something new you learned.
Thank you.
And it will show connections. For me, right, it always comes up to recently added. You could also do first name and last name. And we can see that I just went through my connections because all of these people I connected with an hour ago. I'd been on vacation. I hadn't touched it in a couple of weeks and I just poured through and added them all recently.
Oh, okay. So you would click on them individually. Yeah, I was wondering because my feed, it's never my first. It's always people who are second and third.
Lisa, I'm going to pick on you.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
So it might not always be a first. Something you can do when you go to somebody up here, there's a bell. You can click on to follow them and get most relevant or all. If I do that now, I'm going to get all your messages.
Okay, click all.
There's also a way to create bookmarks for that, but that's like a 30-minute presentation in itself.
Okay.
And then an hour workshop after that. So not something we can do in the next 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mary.
Now you can also see who we're both connected with and are they good people? They are. Any other questions? You've got 4 more minutes of my time.
No, but I did want to say thank you for the presentation. A lot of useful information, so thank you.
And I invite anybody here. I do not accept every connection request I get. So I'll have a list of your names. So if you want to send me a connection request, I'll see that you were here and then I'll accept your connection request so that you can follow me. I've got a lot of great content on LinkedIn where I give.
I've already done that.
Thank you.
And but a question around that. So I get a lot of connection requests myself. And I personally don't always accept them either. In particular, one of the things I look at is their how long they've been on LinkedIn and whether they've been verified. And I do get a lot ever since I've changed my profile to open to work. I get a significant number of fake recruiters who try and connect in with me, and you could tell they're fake pretty easily by looking at by clicking on that little on their name, and it'll tell you that little badge on yours says that you've been verified at least by something. And most of them, I find they'll have usually a pretty extensive profile where they've been in the industry for decades, yet they just signed up for LinkedIn this month. And there's no verifications on their profile, which is generally a telltale sign that they're a scam. But to my question, do you recommend accepting, outside of those scams, a lot of or just any request, especially if you have less than 500? I don't want to have a lot, but in my early years, I thought connections were great because I wanted to have that 500 plus next to my name, but now that I have it, it's kind of overwhelming. And so just curious your thoughts around that on harvesting connections, even if you don't know them.
Yeah, how many connections do I have? I have 3,000 some connections. I could probably have 10,000 if I just connected with everybody. I don't want to.
Yeah.
If LinkedIn starts to feed you their information, and if you're somebody that doesn't interest me, I don't want to connect with you. I got a number of connection requests I just went through. I was on vacation. I had a whole bunch of people come through. Some people never post. Why am I connecting with you if you never post anything? I'm not getting information from you. Some people are in industries that have nothing to do with me. Some people are in countries where I have no clients and they have no mutual connections. So I'm very strategic about how I have a connection plan. And I suggest whatever you do, you have your strategic connection plan. It could be, I'm going to take anybody, that's your plan. It could be, I'm going to see which common connections we have. A lot of times, I'll look and see who the common connections we have are, and I'll be like, oh, those people. I'm going to show you, he's my coach. Dennis Marion's my coach, and he coaches a lot of other LinkedIn coaches. And one of the things he says is he's not a douche canoe. And kind of the joke in his group program, there's like 50, 60 of us there, is that none of us are douche canoes, and we could easily recommend each other to people if somebody has a specialty that I don't have, because we know they're not a douche canoe. So if you're a friend of John's, you're not a douche canoe, I can hang with you. I mean, that might be a really weird way of looking at it, but it works.
Thank you. I think we're at time.
Yeah, we are. The recording of the video is going to be put up on YouTube when our volunteers at SCORE have time to do that. And does that go out in a follow-up email, Michelle? When the recording gets set up, does that go out in a follow-up email?
It will go by email, yes.
Okay. There. Okay, I answered that question. So I think we are done with questions. You have my information if you need to find more of me. Doing a verification helps. It's not required unless you have a problem and you lose your account. Oh, I didn't realize there were questions in the chat. So let me just go through this really, really quick. Did I miss anything? You can have multiple company pages, but only one profile. And you all have my contact information now, so you can hunt me down.
We've gotten lots of thank yous and appreciation.
Okay. Anything
Thank you all
else?
for being here. Mary, thank you so much for being gracious with your time and your knowledge. People from the comments obviously just got a lot of beneficial information that they can implement immediately. Thank you so much. So everyone be sure to go to score.org/Nashville. You can click on take a workshop and see what is posted through September. And I'm adding more just about every day. And you're going to get the emails. So don't just out of hand delete them. You might want to read them and see what's in that, because you're going to have value laden workshops just like Mary just presented. Mary, any closing comments?
No, be on LinkedIn, be active, and reach out to really cool people. No douche canoes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you all for being here. And we hope to see you soon. Take care.